Hi, everyone, and welcome to Acting Sessions. I'm your host, Marco DiGeorge. I'm the co founder and instructor at Truthful Acting Studios. We're a conservatory located in Orlando, Florida. And from time to time, I like to come on and conduct these sessions for all of you to talk about various topics that surround the acting industry and the acting craft itself. And so today, we've been talking a lot about what it takes to be an actor and how to audition and to do different things from that standpoint. But today I wanted to take a look at it from a different angle and talk about working with directors, 'cause I think that's a very important subject for actors. Now, as we go through today's session, if you're live with us on our through our website, we have a chat that's open. So feel free to chat with us, say hi. You could also post any questions you have during this session, and I'll try to get it to as many as possible before the end. So please feel free to interact with us and to ask us any questions that you might have. Also, if there's anyone on the filmmaking side out there or directing side out there and you have any questions regarding that angle of it, I'd be happy to answer those as well. But first, let's take a look at, from the acting side, what does it mean to work with a director? Because it's one of the things that we have to do. So we train how to become an actor, and we go to auditions, and we've talked about those topics. But now you're cast, and you're part of a film, and you're part of a role. Now what? What are the expectations? What is your role? What should you expect from the director? So let's just take a look at what does it mean to be a director of film. So the director is the person that is in charge of the creative vision for the film. They're the creative vision for the film. Their responsibility is to make sure that whatever they're capturing on the camera looks a certain way, comes across a certain way for the audience, and also your performance is done in a certain way that best tells the story to the audience. That's their job. So they're looking at everything piece by piece as they go through the filming to make sure that when they get past the filming and they're into the editing, which is the compiling of all the different shots that were filmed, they need to compile all of that together. They need to make sure that it's going to tell a cohesive and comprehensive story to the audience, the best story possible. So in every moment that a director is working with you on set, they're thinking of this moment, but how does this moment fit into the greater story? Because in the director's mind, their responsibility is for that overall vision of that storytelling. So just know that that's what the director is thinking about. They are also thinking about how it looks, how it feels, the cinematography of it, the composition, which is how things are arranged in the frame, all of those different things. So the director has quite a bit of responsibility for the creativity of this project. Now, just a quick side note, in television, just in case, so television is a little different than film. We're going to be focusing more on film today, but just to talk about TV, in television, the director is still responsible for performance, but they have less creative input on the look and feel since it already has to fit into the style of that particular TV show. So the producers are in charge of that, the writing team, the person in charge of that show, called the showrunner, is ultimately in charge of that level of creativity. But the director in television is still in charge of collecting the performances from the actors that best tell the story. But in film, the director has much more creativity and much more input into that process. So they have a big responsibility. And now they've cast you into their project, into their film, and they're going to need you as the actor to do your part to tell the story of your character in this overall film. So that's what the director's looking for you, is to really understand what your role is. So as the actor, the best thing you can do is really study that script, is to do your work on your character, understanding the relationships that are involved with your character's point of view, understanding what is emotionally driving you in every moment, in every scene, what you need in every scene. So you're going to be looking at it through the lens of your specific character. Now, as you start to have early discussions with a director, hopefully you'll be able to talk about how your character, which is one little piece, your character fits into the overall story. In other words, what's your role in this story? If you are the lead, meaning the story is about your character, if you're the lead in this, well, you have a bigger responsibility because the story is about you. But if you have a smaller role, something we might call a supporting character, a supporting character supports the arc of the lead. So the lead character is the one that the story is about. The supporting characters somehow help that character achieve what they're, or try to achieve the path that they're on, the journey that they're on. So that's important to understand because sometimes the director will guide you in certain ways that might feel different than what you interpreted, but will start guiding you in different ways, again, to best tell the story of the lead character. So we have to just kind of understand how these pieces fit together. So when you're working with a director, so as a director myself, what I look for in actors is I'm looking for collaboration. That's probably the main thing that I want from an actor is something called collaboration. Collaboration means I want you to work with me in the artistic and creative process and discovering who these people are, who these characters are. So as a director, I don't want to have the sole responsibility of having to tell you every little thing of what you need to do and what's happening in your character's life, but I want us to work together on that. So I want your creativity in that. I want you to come to the table and have done your homework and have done your process of stepping into that characterization, and I want you to tell me your point of view on it. Now, ultimately, I need to make the final decision. As the director, I need to be the one to, regardless of what you might collaborate with me on, I need to make sure I'm telling one story. So I'll make a final decision, but I love the input from actors. And I find as a director, I'm a better director when I get that input from the actors. Because you as actors, you're going to understand your character better than anybody. Anybody. So even better than me. I'll understand the story, but you're going to understand that sliver of your character. And so I need you to tell me what works, what doesn't work, what might work better, any ideas and creativity that you have. Now, typically, we're going to discuss all of those things in a rehearsal process. Hopefully, you'll have the opportunity for rehearsal and we get to discuss those things. But even on set, if you have an idea as a director, I want to hear it from you. Now, every director is different. You're going to have to get a feel for whatever director you have. But your better directors are going to be collaborative with you as actors. And this is going to be in film or in theater. We need that collaboration. So just know that you have a responsibility as an actor to bring something, to make an offer. So when I'm training, when I train both directors and I train actors, that's one of the things I try to say is, as an actor, your job in every single time you get in front of a director, whether it's an audition, whether it's a rehearsal, or whether it's on set, anytime you're working with a director, your job is to make an offer. What that means is that you have to do your homework, you have to do your preparation. Whatever that is, whatever process you have to really work on that script and your character. And every single time you come in, I want you to offer me something. I want you to show me what you've been working on. I want you to show me your interpretation. And then as a director, my job is to take what you're giving me and then mold it, to direct it. Then I can take whatever you initially offer me, and now I can play with it. But that it really helps. It helps my creativity as a director if you come in and make an offer. So that's really your one of your responsibilities as an actor. Make an offer every single time you're in front of a director. When actors come in, especially in the audition process, if an actor walks into the room and the first thing when I say hi and I say, do you have any questions? And an actor immediately asks me, well, yes, how do you want me to do this? Well, the moment an actor asks me that or says that to me, it immediately takes away the collaboration. So as an actor, if you're asking me, well, how do you want me to do this, or tell me how you want me to do this, you're not working with me. You're not making me an offer. You're putting all of the responsibility on me to simply tell you what my vision is. And while I can do that, I can tell you what my vision is, I want to work with you. I want us to work together so we can find and discover this together. And the only way we can really do that is for you to make me an offer first. And then I can sit back and say, oh, yes, I really like that. Let's continue to play with that. Or that doesn't really work. Let's adjust it. Either way is okay. But it helps to do that. The reason actors don't like to do that, or there's a hesitancy to do that, is because actors are afraid. Actors are worried that the choice that they're going to make will be a quote-unquote wrong choice, meaning it won't be one that aligns with the director. What I can tell you there is I'm not looking whether it's right or wrong. I'm looking for a starting point. Again, you've been making me an initial offer, which I appreciate. So that's really what I'm looking for. Sure, you have no idea what's going on in my head or my creativity. So you can't possibly know exactly what I'm looking for or exactly what I envision. But that's okay. You don't need to know that. Because while I have a certain vision of this project, this scene, this moment in my head already, because I've done my homework, what you might offer me might be better. It might be something that I haven't thought of yet, because it's through, I only thought of it through my own creativity. Now you're offering your creativity, and you offer me something that's like, wow, that's so much better than what I came up with. Yes, let's go with that. Or we might blend the two together. You might offer me something that's like, oh, I really like that. Let's add it to what I was thinking, and let's combine the two together. And again, together we created something that would not have existed before. This is where your better acting comes from. This is where your better movies come from, your better theater projects. I mean, all of these different things. This is where that comes from, is when actors and directors work together in that. But as an actor, you have to take a step back and understand that you are a creative in this process. You don't have to have this fear or anxiety of just trying to get it right for the director. And I'll put right in quotes, because in creativity, there is no right or wrong. We all have very subjective visions of what we think this is. And your better directors are going to want that collaboration. So as an actor, I think that gives you a sense of relief, that you don't have to worry about getting it right, or making that exact choice that has to be exactly what the director is looking for. Instead, you can be free to come in and make that offer in the audition, in the rehearsal, even on set. Now, after you've made the offer, and the director now takes a look at it and now wants to make a decision on what's happening, and then says, okay, yeah, I like what you did, but let's do it this way. Your job now is to follow the lead of whatever the director is telling you. Because the director, again, in their head and in their vision, they know what this moment needs to be on stage or on film. They know what this is. or they know what story they're trying to tell. And so while, yes, as a director, I want you to make me offers, I want you to collaborate, I want you to give me your input, absolutely. But then when I say, okay, I heard what you said, but now let's do this. Once I say that, now I expect my actors to follow my lead and to do the best job possible to make the attempt to go into the direction that I'm asking them to go. And part of that is there's so many times that actors will feel they know what's best for the character, and in many cases you do. As an actor, you're going to have a really good feel for the character. But even though you have a really good feel for the character and their driving force and what they want and need in this moment, you may not see the overall vision of what the director, what I'm looking for as far as storytelling in this moment. So it's possible that even though you have a really good idea about what you're trying to convey, it doesn't work right now in the story. Because what the audience needs might be something different. The audience might not be ready for whatever that moment is, or it might contradict with other parts of this scene. So that's the director's job, is to say, make sure everything fits, that everything is connected. Every single moment of a film, every single moment of a play, everything is connected all the way through. And the director is the only one that has that overall vision. So we have to trust then. We make an offer, we collaborate with the director, but then we have to let go and trust that they ultimately know what is best for this project right here and right now. Okay, so so I'm going to get to some questions. I have some questions that were submitted that I want to get to when talking about that. But the main thing I want you to take away is that working with a director is a team effort. It's not like a boss employee like you would find in other jobs. We don't want to treat it that way. The director is the lead. They are the creative lead. Our job is to follow their lead, but it's still a team effort. And the projects you will find out there that work together as a team are the ones that create the highest level of art. So just understand that. Another way I like to put it is, as an actor, we need to be the clay that the director can mold. So we need to be flexible and pliable. So as the director is trying to sculpt the moment of this scene, they're trying to sculpt the story, we can be flexible to be molded into exactly what this story needs right now. That's our job. All right. So, and remember, if you have any questions live, please put them in the chat. I'll be happy to answer anything from either the acting side or the directing side, either for film or theater. So let's go to our first question. So first question is, what is the proper behavior when working with a director? Okay, so similar to what I was just saying, what I look for in the actors, the number one thing I look for in my actors is something called integrity. Integrity meaning, how does this actor handle themselves as a human being? Are they respectful? Are they on time? Do they treat their fellow actors and do they treat each other and the crew with respect? Are they respectful of the process? Are they respectful of the script? Are they respectful of everyone's time and all of that. I look into that. Attitude, personality. And it's not to say you have to have like an outgoing personality or anything. No, what I mean by that is are you fun to be around? And that comes with, are you enjoying acting? Do you enjoy being there? I love actors that want to be there and that love the process, that are excited to be working on this project with me. Those are the actors that I love to work with the best. So as far as behavior, that's what I look for. And respect, just treating each other with a very high level of respect. I want to see my actors respecting each other and getting along with each other. and supporting each other in the process. That's really what I look for. So one of the things with this is that you don't have to worry. Like, whatever your personality is your personality. That's okay. Just make sure you don't allow yourself to get into any sort of negative mind frame. Try to avoid complaining on set or venting about things. Avoid that. Um, be excited to be there. To me, if you're not excited to be doing your acting, then maybe you should be doing something else. So that's one of the things that I would say about that. Someone asked here in the chat who's some of my favorite directors. Uh, Christopher Nolan is among the top. I definitely appreciate what Nolan, the vision that Nolan has in telling a story. I think he has a good grasp on overall storytelling and also putting the pieces together. I love Nolan's commitment to film, like shooting on film and shooting very practically. So I love those type of things, and so Christopher Nolan is one of my tops. Steven Spielberg, which is, I think, many people's one of top directors, and Paul Thomas Anderson is another director that I really truly admire, and really that's from a performance standpoint. I think PTA gets a great high level of performance out of all of the actors that he comes across. Um, and yes, for Oppenheimer, I'm very excited about Nolan's next film because I pretty much love everything Nolan's done and the way he tells a story. Uh, so, and Magnolia is probably one of my favorite films ever, from both a cinematography standpoint, a storytelling standpoint, an editing standpoint, and performance. I think it's just an incredible example of quality filmmaking. So let's see. So directors agree when you add extra words to the scripts to give. Okay, so I think the question is, is it okay to add extra words to the script, or to what we call ad lib? So when you ad lib words, it means that we go off script to allow ourselves to use our own words for that. And what I would say is, as far as whether actors stick to the script or not, for me, I want an actor to be word for word on script. Now, in theater, you have to be word for word on script, because in theater you license what's called a published play, which is written by a playwright. They've written a play. They've gone through the steps of having the play produced, and then that gets into a publishing house, which we're allowed to license that to put on. So when we license that, one of the criteria is that we will not change the words of the script. So in professional theater, we have to adhere to the exact words of the script, which I believe in. To me, a writer has put an exhausting amount of thought and creativity and life into this script. They've crafted these words that the characters are saying very carefully to tell a very specific story. So to me, as a director, I honor that. I want to honor what the writer has put into it. And I want to collaborate with the writer. Now, I don't collaborate with them directly because I don't necessarily know the writer, but I collaborate with them by taking what they've put on the page, word for word, and figuring out a way how to tell the story using those words. So as an actor, I want my actors to be able to do the same thing. So that's what I would, as far as advice I would give. Now, in film, it's possible that a director will give an actor a little more leeway to say things that are not exactly scripted, and a film director has that ability to do. But as an actor, I'm still going to be word for word on script unless a director tells me to ad lib or do something otherwise. So unless I'm directed into that, I'm not going to change the script as an actor on my own, ever. So that's the type of thing. And really, quality actors, when you get to a certain point as an actor, you can make any line of dialogue work. Any words you can make work and bring them to life, and that's really what the actor's job is. It doesn't matter what the lines are or what the words are. If even if you feel like, oh, I need to say more or I need to say less or whatever that is, you can still make these words exactly work for you, and that's the magic of being a strong actor. Let's see. So, as an actor, you need to have good teamwork skills to work with a director and their crew. However, I don't have great teamwork skills. What can I do to change that? Okay, well, as far as teamworking skills, it really comes down to your attitude, being open and available to others' input. Teamworking comes down to listening. Like, really listen to what other people have to say and then see if you can contribute to that conversation, to that idea, to that project, whatever that might be. Teamwork comes down to having respect for those around you. Meaning, when we're out in public, what are the thoughts that are going through your head? When you are watching people just out randomly in public, are you critical about them? Meaning, are you looking at the negative sides of them? Or are you positive and respectful towards them? Many times we tend to be critical. It makes us feel better if we're critical of somebody else, or we find humor in the situation to be critical, whatever that might be. But it's a very normal thing. I think, many people find themselves doing that. But the thing you can work on is looking at the positive side of every single person that you interact with, of what they bring to the table, of making sure when someone brings an idea to the table, even if it's different than the idea you have, be open to listening to them and trying to understand what they're saying. Because maybe their idea is better than yours, and there's nothing wrong with that. Or maybe there's a piece of their idea and a piece of your idea that can come together and can make the project better. So that's really what you have to work on team working skills. You don't have to be an extrovert, or you don't have to be any sort of big personality. You can absolutely be introverted. You can be quiet. Whatever your normal personality is, that's perfectly okay. Just be respectful and stay positive. And that is the biggest thing that you can do for your team working. Let's see, over here on YouTube Live, I have some other questions. And the first one is, what points should be understood before going into an audition with a director? And so in an audition, as a director, when I'm casting a film or a play, what I'm looking for from the actor is two things, and I've already talked about one of them is collaboration, meaning I want to see the actor come in and make me an offer. And two is creativity. I want to know that you have a good handle on the craft, and I want to see that you're not afraid to really put yourself out there. Now, by putting yourself out there, I'm not saying doing anything weird or strange in the audition. What I'm saying is that make every moment of this scene as important as you possibly can. That's when you make a strong choice as an actor, is when you make it important. You make the relationship important. You make it meaningful. You make it emotional. And I'm not saying try to be emotional. I'm saying, but it's so meaningful to you, this moment of this person's life, that it causes you to feel something. And those are the things that you can start preparing for and looking for in the scene before you go into an audition, or even before you go into a rehearsal, before you go on set, all of those different things. And then another question is, besides not giving input, what else do directors hate to see? in an audition. Disrespect, arrogance. I really don't like to see that. I don't like to see an actor come in and think that they are better than the other people in the room or the other actors around. That's what we call arrogance. Arrogance is it's a feeling of lack of confidence. And so because I'm feeling a lack of confidence, I need to show those around me that I am confident. So the showing of confidence comes across as this thing called arrogance. I want people to think I'm better than I am, essentially. And it's really off-putting, and it causes negative feelings. And so I don't like to see that. I like to see humility. I love humble actors, that even actors that are excellent at what they do, but when they come into the room, they're okay with the collaboration. They're okay. They're not trying to tell me how great they are, but it's right in the scene. It's like, wow, that's really, really nice. That's, as far as what I hate to see, I would say that it goes back to the integrity. I want to see respect, humility, a positive attitude, those type of things. All right. So another question over from YouTube is, what is the best approach directors should act like with actors on set? Any good examples of anyone out there? Yeah, there's plenty of great examples of positive, and we have a few examples of negative. And really, as far as the best approach for directors, is really the same thing we have with actors. I want, when I train directors, one of the biggest things is respect. I want the directors to respect the actors. I think that's essential in the creative process. I think directors need to treat actors really well. And I think they need to have a good attitude and positivity. I think directors need to inspire creativity. And as a director, the main responsibility as a director, as it relates to performance, is to give the performer, the actor, a safe environment to take risks in. Meaning, as an actor, we take very vulnerable risks. We go to emotional places. We're very raw in our acting sometimes. And when we're raw in our acting, we're raw as a human being. So it's a very vulnerable space to be in. And if we're in an unsafe space, which means one that is open to judgment and criticism, harsh words, negativity, because we open ourselves up as actors, we're more sensitive to that, especially in those moments. And so I look for directors. As an actor, I want to work with a director that understands that process, understands what we do as actors, and is sensitive to what we do, and to set up an environment that allows us to go there safely. So as a director, I would say that's the biggest thing to keep in mind. Make sure that you try to eliminate any sort of criticism or judgment on set, not just by you, but by your entire crew, by other cast. Don't allow that criticism to be open. If anyone has an issue with anything, they should come to you privately, but not publicly. So, and what you'll find is that having a safe space for the actors to go, like, and again, by safe space, I simply mean that as an actor, I can go where I need to go, and then I can step out of it, and there's no criticism, there's no ridicule, like I don't feel embarrassed by going there, because those things, those negative feelings, if I end up experiencing that on set or on stage, I will, as an actor, pull back the next time I have to perform. So as a director, I want to eliminate all of that. Give the actors such incredible freedom that they can go as far as they need to go in this role. And when it's done, if anything, I give them positive praise, support for what they're doing, and no criticism. Now, sure, I have to direct. If they're not going far enough, I'm going to push actors. I'll tell you, hey, we need to do it again, but let's take it further. Let's take it further. Let's push that moment. I tell actors that all the time. But you can do it in a respectful, encouraging way instead of a judgmental, criticizing way. So that's what I would say. That's what I look for, and that's what the biggest thing when I train actors is I train them in collaboration and I train them in safety with the actors and creating a safe environment on set. So thank you for that question. Okay, here's another question we have. How important is it to have a lot of experience on your resume when auditioning? Great question. And because I get asked this all, especially beginning actors starting out, they're like, well, I don't have really anything on my resume. It's like, well, that's okay. We all start at the same place as actors with nothing on our resume. That's okay. The most important things on your resume, because on an acting resume, we have different categories. So we might put film and television in a category, theater in a category, live performance or industrial type of things. I mean, there's all these different categories we have, training, special skills, so forth. The most important categories on your resume as an actor, number one is going to be training. So as a director, it doesn't bother me whether you have a lot of credits or not. I'm not thrown off by that, but I want to see that you're training. Because an actor that comes in and has multiple credits but little training, I want actors to be trained. I want to know that you take this seriously enough to go to some sort of school or training program to better your craft. I want to know that you have a process that is guiding everything that you're doing. So training is the number one most important thing on a resume. The great thing about that is you could take a class, you could take these free sessions. I mean, there's all sorts of different ways to train. But you could do that on your own time. You don't need anyone else to cast you in a project to do that. So that's what it shows. What initiative are you taking to better your craft? Secondly, the second thing, so you have training and then, believe it or not, theater. Theater are more important as credits than film or television. It's great if you're able to work in film and television and build up certain credits. But it doesn't tell me, as a director, it doesn't tell me as much of what type of actor you are as theater does. Theater is something that it's a longer form process. So theater is something that I just know that if you're cast in a show and I see, as you're in this show, you're in this role, I know what it takes to do that. I know the effort that you have to put in to actually put that on stage live in front of an audience. I know the work ethic involved. So it immediately speaks to me that you're willing to do that level of work. Versus in film, I don't know what your work ethic is just from the fact that you have film credits. So while it shows that you were castable in those things, it doesn't tell me the deeper question. So that's why your training is the number one thing that's most important on your resume. Number two is theater, and then the other credits come after that. And then yes, so just to answer the question we have, yes, all of these sessions that we do live are then put onto our YouTube channel, and you can go back and watch any of the sessions that I've done prior on various topics, and that's where they are. We have so many different topics that I've talked about: auditioning, self-consciousness, all sorts of different things about acting that you can go through and watch piece by piece. Okay, so next question: what should you do if you are having a hard time working with a director? This is a very important one. It's not always a fun experience working with directors, especially if you're working with a director that is not trained well themselves, or it doesn't have a good attitude, is negative. You may come across some directors that aren't as nice, and that you disagree with and that you don't feel that good with. So what I would say, there's two things. One, if it's just a personality conflict, they're a good director, they're still treating people with respect. You just don't mesh personality wise. What I would say is stay in your lane the best you can and just do your job. Focus on the role you have to do. That's it. Just you don't have to be friends with every director that you work with. But if the director is being disrespectful or doing anything inappropriate, you need to address that. Now, I would address it first privately with the director. In other words, don't do it publicly and make a scene out of it. I would talk to the director or your first assistant director about it and say, listen, I have an issue with this. If it doesn't resolve it by talking to the director, then you go and you talk to a producer. And you have to escalate that. Don't ever allow anyone in the industry to treat you poorly. Now, sometimes on set, on stage, we have stressful environments that we're in. We might be in serious moods sometimes or stressed out moods because we're trying to get some stuff done. So maybe you'll have a director that might have a short temper one day, or you can feel the stress they're under. That will happen, especially in film. But if they're treating you poorly, if they're snapping at you, if they're being disrespectful in any way, being inappropriate in any way, don't put up with that. You don't have to put up with that to be in this industry. There was a time when, as actors, we did. We had to deal with whatever behavior the director would throw at us. And that's we just had to take it. And it was so inappropriate, the things that would happen on set. That's changing. And when I train directors, I'm training them for a new future as well, to have a different style of directing, to be respectful to everybody that they're leading, to be positive to everyone around them, to be inspiring, all of those things. I believe that is possible. And there are directors that have shown us that they can do that. I mean, Spielberg is very inspiring when he leads, and Ron Howard is very inspiring and interesting. His daughter, Bryce Dallas Howard, is very inspiring when she directs. And so there's plenty of examples of using positivity and collaboration to work with your actors to make great art. And the days of having to yell at your actors or to be inappropriate with them is no longer anything we should be putting up with. So, all right, so in the chat, let's see. Do you cover any resumes in the online classes, headshots? You know what, I do. I believe I do. Probably in one of the audition sessions or one of the industry sessions, I've talked about headshots, resumes, the business side of things. You have to go back and look through. I try to index all of my live sessions, all of these free sessions. I try to index them so you can see what is covered in there. If not, I will make sure to address that in a future session, because that's a great idea if I haven't done it already. I just don't remember everything I've done to this point. And yes, Kubrick, Stanley Kubrick is a great example of what I was just talking about. Stanley Kubrick from a filmmaking side is revered as a visionary as far as what was created on the screen. But we've learned a lot about how Kubrick went about getting those performances, and we've learned that he wasn't nice and respectful to the actors that he was leading. And to me, that's not okay. And I also believe that, because I'll hear sometimes from my film students that, but even though he was mean to these actors or disrespectful to these actors, look what he created. So isn't that okay that he created this great art because of that? And no, it's not. It's not. Was Kubrick a visionary of what he could compose? Of course, yes, but that doesn't take away from the negativity he imposed on the people around him. And I just don't believe it's okay, and I don't think it's okay to excuse it because the result turned out to be, a good work of art. and this is whether it's from The Shining, he treated the actors there horribly, or Eyes Wide Shut. He was the reason for the breakup of Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. It's not okay to do that. And again, moving forward, we're seeing directors that take a more positive approach, and I love that. And I encourage all of my directors to do the same thing. Take a positive approach. Inspire everyone that you work with. I really believe in that. All right, let me see. What does a director expect from an actor? I think I covered this already, but it's, the expectation is for you to be positive, for you to be excited, for you to be collaborative, and for you to keep making me offers every time you come in. Let's work together and make something amazing together. That's really my expectation. That's it. What I can say is I don't expect you to have all the answers. So that I'll take the pressure right off of you. I don't expect you to come into a rehearsal, come into an audition, even walk on the set having all of the answers. It's an art form, so it's creativity. We have to get in and kind of dig ourselves out together. So it's okay to say you don't know. As a director, it's okay to say you don't know. So one thing I learned as a director is I don't have to have all the answers either. I have a faith and a trust that we will find it, that we will together find the best pieces that are needed to tell this story. So I trust in that. But going into it, there are things I don't know. I don't know every moment or how it should be, or I don't have in my head, how should you say this line? I don't know. But we're going to find out together. And every single time, we do. All right, so this is actually a question that I get quite often. What if the director doesn't give me any feedback about my performance? And this is either maybe in auditions, in rehearsals, in on set, where an actor will go on set and be working, and they'll come and they'll tell me later. It's like, yeah, I was on set. I think it went okay, but the director didn't tell me anything, so I don't know if they liked it. It's like, okay, here's the rule of thumb: if they didn't tell you anything, then they like it. No news is good news, so to speak. A director in the on-set environment is working with so much. They're going through so much and they're thinking about the cinematography, and they're thinking about lighting, and they're thinking about how this piece, this one shot, fits into the overall story. I mean, there's so much going on creatively inside a director's head that once they get what they need and they're like, okay, let's move on, and they're immediately thinking about the next shot. So a director's not there to hold your hand or to coddle you or to walk you through like that. And it's best as an actor if you get into the habit and in the position of not needing any of that approval, because it's much better not to need that. It's as far as just go in and do your job, trust what you're doing, trust that the director is guiding you and getting what they need. Because as a director, I'm not going to move on from the shot, or I'm not going to say, okay, let's move on. I'm not going to go to the next shot, the next take, the next whatever, if I'm not happy with what I have here. So if I'm moving on to the next moment, it means I've collected what I needed here, and now I need to think about the next moment. That's all of that. That's all that is. So don't worry at all if you don't get any feedback. Directors will typically give you feedback or direction when something needs to be adjusted in your performance. That's all it is. That's all it is, and you can let go of the rest. How will I know what a director wants from me or from my performance? Again, this is another question that comes in. This goes all the way back to the audition process, which is, I get actors that will ask me, it's like, well, I'm going to the audition, but how do I know what the director is going to want in the audition? And here's the truth of it. we don't know what we want. It's an audition. We don't know what we want. What I want, ultimately, is for you, the actor, to be the answer to my problem. My problem is I have a film or I have a play and I need to cast it. I need actors that fit these roles, that can perform these roles that I have, because I have to put on this play or I have to create this film. And so I have that issue. And every single time someone walks into the room, I want it to be you. I want you to be that person that solves that problem for me. But I don't know what I'm looking for necessarily. I know that there's this character in the story, but I need someone to make me the right offer. And when I say the right offer, there's nothing in my head. There's nothing you can do to make it, quote unquote, the right choice. It's just, does your essence, does your personality, does your type and look, and do you fit what the story needs? And all I can tell you is I know it when I see it. If you walk into the room and you're right, meaning if you're the thing that fits the need of this project, then I will know that. And I say all that because let go of ever thinking about what does the director want. Most of the time, we don't know, especially in the audition process. We honestly don't know. And as a director, we stay open to navigating, like, whatever. In other words, I don't want to choose ahead of time what the character looks like, how they sound, all of those things. I want to stay open so that when you walk into the room, the character could be you. Or when the next person walks into the room, the character could be them. So I stay open and flexible to different interpretations until it strikes me. It's like, yes, this is the person I'm looking for. So that's what I would say about that. Okay, so let me go back to YouTube here for a second, and about credits. It said credits aren't as important. Oops, you retracted that. I was about to answer that. Okay, then let me move on. So, when is it okay for me to push back or say no to a director? Another really good question, an important one. So I talked about safety, and I think it's important that we as actors keep ourselves safe, and that directors keep the environment safe, but sometimes we're put into what I would consider an unsafe environment. Now, there's a couple different things. If you're being treated disrespectfully or inappropriately, you can push back on the director. Now, pushing back, I don't mean don't get into a public argument with the director, but you can pull the director aside, or your assistant director, or somebody who you report to, and you say, listen, this is not okay. We need to address this. And there's a way to address it. You address it respectfully and in a way that is still collaborative, but you can push back on that. The other time is if you are being asked to do something that you're not comfortable doing. You can either say no, or you can push back a little bit. Now, if you're cast in a film and going into it, like, for example, if you're cast in a film and your character smokes. Okay. Well, then all of a sudden we get on set and there's a scene where you're smoking and you're like, well, no, I don't want to smoke. Well, that's not okay. You took the role knowing the character smokes. Your character is going to need to smoke. We can't now push back and say no. So that's on you. But sometimes directors, it's up to the director, though, to be upfront and say, okay, if you're cast in this role, I'm going to need to see you smoke a cigarette. That's as part of it. Are you okay with that? That's the director's responsibility up front before you ever say yes to the role, to say that. So if they ask you to do something on set that you're unaware of ahead of time, if they ask you, for example, to do a stunt, no, you don't have to do your own stunts, or you don't have to do, at least without rehearsal, without choreography. We should never improvise physicality. If they ask you to improvise physicality, whether it's a fight sequence, which that happens on independent sets, it'd be like, oh, well, just improvise a fight. No, you will get hurt. don't do that. So you can say no to that. Or the bigger one right now, or the one that's really more prominent right now, is improvising intimacy. By intimacy, I mean a stage kiss. So two characters have a kiss. In the past, meaning when I came up through the industry, all intimacy was improvised. And it's so uncomfortable. And it feels so inappropriate. But for many years, we just allowed it to happen simply because we didn't know any better. Even though it felt inappropriate to us at the time, it felt weird and just strange. It was like, okay, well, this is what we have to do to get this moment in the scene. We now know better. We now know that intimacy should also be fully choreographed the same way as any sort of fight sequence, dance sequence, I mean, anything else that we do. So if a director comes up and says, okay, this is going to be a kiss scene, so you're just going to just kiss each other, I'm going to push back. And I'm going to say, well, can we please choreograph this? Can we walk through it? We walk through it and we choreograph it to keep each other safe. To keep you safe as an actor, to keep your partner safe, to keep we need to keep that safe, because when you improvise intimacy, someone may feel uncomfortable or that a line was crossed, and that's not okay. It breaks the safety and it causes actors to retract. So that's what I would say to this question: is any time that you feel anything inappropriate is happening or disrespectful, that's when you can push back. Okay, so coming back to YouTube, how many credits are needed to be considered a qualified actor, and can you get them from free online courses? So as far as credits, no. So you're going to have your training is going to be the first thing. Now, your training you can partially get from online. As far as from free courses, you're probably not going to get enough. You're going to get information. I have tons of information on my channel, but it's just the information side of it. You're still not getting the active side of it, which you would need from a class. Now, we'll be having very soon, and you can check back on our website for this, but we'll be having more comprehensive online courses. There'll be costs for these, but it's much more comprehensive, that will take you through different exercises, different acting, like a process of learning how to act. That will get you much further. But at some point, you need to work with other actors, either in a theater environment, a community theater, student films, or independent films. You need to work in that collaborative environment with other actors and a director to ultimately get your craft where it needs to be. So these free sessions like this are great for information. It's great for understanding certain things, especially in the industry. So that's a piece of it. More comprehensive online training can be another piece of it. And then there's the application, which you have to get either from an in-person class, from a being on set, or being on stage in some way. It could be church theater, community theater, student film, independent film, but in some way we need to apply the things that we learn. And then that comes together to give you enough to then continue working in the upper ends of the industry. So that's kind of how we put that together. Wow, time flies. It is amazing how fast an hour goes when, well, I love talking about this stuff. So for me, an hour goes very, very quickly when I love talking about, when I'm talking about acting. So I just want to thank you all for being with me today. I really appreciate your time. If you have any other questions, you can reach out to us at our email at info@truthfulacting.com, or you can call or text us at this number below, and you'll, if you call or text us, or if you email us, you'll reach Samantha, who was on in the beginning of this session today, and Sam can answer any questions that you have, get back to you, and or she'll forward it to me if it's something that I need to respond to. But I'd love to stay in touch with you if you have any other questions. And also look for our next session. We'll have another session in a few weeks where we'll be having a new topic. And go back into our YouTube page and watch our other sessions. Again, we have so many. We have we have so many hours of free material out there, and so take advantage of that. Learn as much as you can, and maybe after watching one of the other sessions, write down any questions you have. So when you're live with me next time, you can ask that, and I will address that for you as well. But until then, thank you so much. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.